Ah, I was not part of the stream. Okay, I'm still waking up. Good morning. I apologize that I was a bit late. Our boys started school this week, and I was chatting with my husband. Hi, B. How are you doing, sweetie? And my husband is working 4 doubles in a row. It is Houston Restaurant Weeks here, which, if you're not in Houston, you have no idea what that means. So I'll tell you real quick. It used to be that August was the slowest month for restaurants. And they started doing restaurant week, which meant you got to go to different restaurants, typically high end restaurants, and there'd be a reduced menu. It went over well. And so now it's restaurant weeks all of August. And right now, my husband, the wine director, he's like on his own because his wine guy helpers are no more. One is only working Wednesday nights and the other guy left. So my husband be busy and the boys are off to high school. Today is the youngest third day because Wednesday there was this transition day for freshmen and it is the sophomore second day. Not much going on, the first week of school, but still getting them there. And oh my gosh, the bus comes stupid early, 6:25. That'd be early. And so I'm setting my alarm for 5:45 a.m., just like I told them to do theirs. And the youngest takes after his dad in the morning, meaning he doesn't really respond to an alarm. So I have to go in there. And thankfully, the light switch is right by the door. So I flip that sucker on and boom. Oh, okay. They also have it there, B. Yeah. Okay. Here for restaurant weeks, like where my husband's at, I think it's a 3-course meal, and and you get a choice of white or red wine that's paired with the meal. I want to say that's how it goes, and I could be wrong, but that's what memory is going off of. But typically, the high-end restaurants, they all have some sort of like several different courses, that come with it, which is really pretty cool. And you can really try some great places. But this morning also, my husband has an event that happens every month. And so that's the thing. So the dude is busy. So he's not going to be off until Monday. So it's me and the boys this weekend. I've got my coffee, so I'm sipping on that. I hope the audio is okay because I have it in this weird little black foamy boxy thing that I'm trying to hold the mic in there, and it's ever so comfortable. Yeah, feel the sarcasm. And we can start talking because I don't have necessarily a full-blown plan for what I'm going to talk about, but I do have some things. And one of the things that I'm going to talk about is I find this interesting. This is just kind of a general statement about YouTube and I guess niches in YouTube because there's always trolls. And I've watched this behavior not only as a creator, because I get the troll things all the live long. But it's interesting in terms of because I saw it with the Watts case. If you have followed my channel, I have gone over stuff about the Chris Watts case, but brought in the multi-level marketing perspective since my background is in that. Been there, done that, was a Hunbot, hence I'm recovering Hunbot. Because true crime channels weren't really covering that, and I don't think they understood how all of the components of multi-level marketing can impact the individual involved and the family and the community, just, all the things. I'll just go to all the things. And so I saw stuff on that case where there's just different camps. And some of the things that I was seeing, it just kind of made me side-eye some creators. I'm just like, I'm not so sure about all of that. Well, then, you jump on over into the Summer Wells thing, and I'm seeing some of these people that I was kind of giving the side eye, they're kind of like banding together. And so anything that's said about them, they're saying, oh, well, there's trolls. But then on the other side, they're going, oh, the other people are trolls. So basically, if anybody disagrees with someone, they're automatically considered a troll. And I just find that I just sit back going like, interesting, just interesting. you know. And honestly, a lot of this type of behavior, everybody should just stop. I mean, it just really seems so unhealthy and mentally draining. I mean, if you don't agree with someone, it's really simple, just move on. But people just seem to not be able to for some reason. I don't know. It's just maybe it's human nature. Which brings me back to the case at hand. And we're kind of looking at Drew Peterson versus Don Wells. Yes, the trolls are awful, tearing each other. That's horrible comment. Yes, 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 B. Yep, I've seen that, and I'm like, I just can't really partake, and there might be, I don't know, even someone that I think like, oh, I really like your viewpoint, but if you keep bringing up other people and saying, trash talking other people, that just makes me uncomfortable because I don't know, maybe I'm just old. Maybe I'm just old. I don't know, but it really is. It wears on me to see that. And it has to mentally wear on other people. Anyway, so my first live about Summer Wells, I want to say within that, and if you hear me pause a little bit, I have my coffee, so I'm sipping on it. Oh, you're right there with me. You can't take it. Yeah, I just can't. I can't suffer it. It just is like, oh, I mean, puppy, please. I'm going to keep in my own little corner. And that's what this is. This is me just discussing with you my thoughts about all of this. And that's why I said I don't have some grandiose plan or anything. But in my first live stream, I want to say that I mentioned something about social norms. And within the context of, at the time, I didn't know that much about Dawn's childhood or Candus's childhood. And creators have come out with different things about each of them. And some of that stuff I just found by naturally using Google. So it wasn't like I just went and got it all from, a particular creator or anything. And I'm trying to take things with a grain of salt. And some of this, I can't take with a grain of salt. I just can't. And I was going to play a clip, but because I was talking to my husband and everything, that's just, the clip ain't happening. But if you remember, the first time Candus spoke out, it was with an interview with Dawn. And towards the end of it, when she was talking about her daughter, she said something about, oh, B, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry that happened. I am so, so sorry. That is hard. That is very hard. My uncle did that many years ago. And I know others as well. It's very hard. Well, actually a very good friend last year. You may have seen me post about Andy. And so, yeah, I did some things about all of that. It's hard to deal with. Anyway, going back to the whole social norm thing, it's like, okay, think about this. When you were a child, and I'm going to use my own example so you can just, see where I'm coming from. When I was a little girl, my parents owned a restaurant, and I can remember very, very distinctly in our house, we had they made the garage into like a den. And so there was a side door that went out to the yard, and I would sit out there, and I guess I got like pots and pans from my mom or whatever, and I'd play restaurant. I was an only kid, so, I'm playing by myself and can totally self-entertain. But I played restaurant. And even when I'd be at the restaurant, I would do different, games within there, and I'd be back with the cooks. And that's where I learned how to do like peel shrimp and shuck crabs and stuff as a very young girl. My mom was a hairdresser. And so as a kid, I loved, playing with people's hair, and she had wigs, and I loved messing with all of that. And so I'm saying all of this because I basically modeled what I was seeing, what I was exposed to. And I was exposed to restaurants and, somebody doing hair. And so that makes me wonder about Candus and Dawn, what were they exposed to as kids? What kind of behavior did they start modeling? Because we haven't heard a lot from Grandma Candus. I mean, she just kind of like picked up and left, and it said that her sister can't care for her husband because her husband has been sick, yada, yada, yada. I mean, a lot of it, maybe it's true. I don't know. Hi, Chalupa. Chalupa just came over here to say hi, one of my dogs. And now here's Tamale. I just really wonder what that household was like and what was being shared. What did Candus see? What did she pick up? What did Don see? What did he experience? I mean, and I don't think it was anything good. I'll just put it that way. I think it was probably stuff that, we wouldn't want children exposed to, but yet it was. So, you fast forward a little bit, and Candus had been a carny. And the thing is about that type of lifestyle, just like the restaurant industry is filled with alcoholism and substance abuse. Well, so is the carny. There are certain industries that just have more of that than others, And it makes me kind of wonder what Candus started doing and when. If I remember, somewhere on Facebook, there's some kind of post that she made, and it's the account that she doesn't use anymore, that said that she started smoking marijuana when she was 13, if memory serves. But memory could be off, so I apologize if it is. But I do believe I saw that, which just kind of made me go, interesting. All of it interesting. And it's like, okay, that makes me also think, what was she trying to escape? Why was she looking towards something like that to, I guess, help her? And apparently, from what I can tell, allegedly, she's still partaking in all kinds of different substances, as is Dawn. So, I mean, the two of them, it's like, talk about oil and water, things that just don't mix and should never mix, in my opinion, are those two, and it's a very unfortunate situation. And the way I see it, because we are looking at an isolated case, I really believe this extends far beyond just this case, because there's other people out there that are like Candus and Dawn. There's other homes that are dealing with poverty, substance abuse, alcoholism, SA, all kinds of different things are going on. And I kind of wonder about this too, because, typically lower income people are not necessarily aware of resources to reach out to. And it also could be viewed as, basically keeping your stuff to yourself, like you shouldn't go and share that stuff. So that brings me to, again, what Candus said about how, like, it smothers me. I want to say those were the words she used. And if it wasn't exactly that, it's something like that within that first interview. And that just really spoke to me, because I'm like, interesting choice of words, because I don't think it necessarily means that that's what was done to Summer. It made me think about the relationship she's in, perhaps relationships she's had her entire life. Because when she was a young girl, I mean, I'm going to say 19, you're still a young girl to me, she got involved with someone who was literally like twice her age, and she had her first babies. That's significant. Why didn't Grandma, step in? Was that considered normal? Are those the social norms for that family, for the community? Was grandma involved in the carny as well? I don't know. I mean, if you know if Grandma Candace was a carny, let me know because I've wondered that. Because it's like, how do you get introduced to that? You know, so odd. So odd. So anyway, back to It Smothers Me. That made me think about control and being in a controlling relationship. And it made me think, was Grandma Candace controlling to Candace as she was growing up? Was Candace used to being within a household, or did she see her mother being controlled in some way by a man? And I don't know what the answer is. These are just things I'm thinking about, okay? It's just, in my own little mind going, what's going on here? And then I thought about a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine that I met when I was a classroom teacher, still friends with her. And I was there the night that she met someone that she was involved with for a long time. And I want to say, when I first started creating multi-level marketing content, I did a video about relationships, compared multi-level marketing to an abusive relationship, because she was involved in a relationship that I would say was pretty abusive, maybe not physically, more mental type stuff. And he was highly, highly controlling. And of course, when you first meet the person, you don't see these things, So maybe Candace didn't see the control initially. And it kind of goes back to something else that I've said, and you've probably heard this too, is that, we tend to be attracted to people who are like our parents, good or bad. Think about who you've been attracted to. Like my husband, in a lot of ways, reminds me of my dad, because both in the restaurant industry, and a lot of things. Not everything, but a lot of things. So anyway, back to my friend. Well, she was involved with this person, and I can remember, I guess the biggest thing that really sticks with me is this is when I lived downtown. She lived downtown too, if I can talk here. And we lived in the same building. We lived in a loft, not the same one. And we went with her then boyfriend to a restaurant for happy hour, I believe. And we're having like margaritas and just, hanging out. And she and I want to say it was on a weekend. And she and I had gone to the grocery store together. And while we were there, I mentioned something about that during our conversation, not thinking a thing about it, because we just went and did something together. Well, it was as if you could just feel this shift of the air change in the room around this guy. The dynamics just absolutely changed. It was chilling. And we left shortly afterwards. Well, he didn't walk with us. He walked way ahead of us. And you could just see the anger on him. I mean, it was palpable. You could just feel it. And I could sense my friend feeling ever so nervous and uncomfortable. And we're going to go home. I mean, I'm going to go to my loft, but she's going to go to hers with him. And I saw more things like that. So I'm really connecting this to Drew Peterson, believe it or not. So around this time, and maybe a few months later, because I had been watching what was going on in this relationship, and I had my concerns, as sometimes we as friends do have when people get involved with others, And this is when the Lifetime movie came out. I want to say it was called Untouchable. And it was about Drew Peterson. If you don't know who Drew Peterson is from Bolingbrook, Illinois. Bolingbrook is a suburb of Chicago. And he was a police officer, and he was kind of a dirty cop. There were some sketch going on. Anyway, I'm not going to get all the names right. I'm not going to get any of the names right because I'm not going to remember them. But I want to say that he had 4 marriages. I think it was his third marriage where the woman just kind of like vanished without a trace. But before that, something else had happened to like the second wife. And one of them, and I don't remember which, and he had a friend help him put the woman's body in a blue barrel. And, as I was watching this and learning about this guy's background, because you could see this escalate within the relationship of what seemed to be a very charming, very loving, very caring guy in a relationship. All of a sudden, it just changed. And that's what I saw with my friend, because she would be questioned about who she was talking to. She'd be questioned. She'd be told that she was flirting. She would be told that she was wearing something that was inappropriate. I mean, all of this stuff. And so as I watched this movie, I thought of her and I'm like, look, you have got to watch this because this is what I'm seeing in your relationship. Well, fast forward to when she ended the relationship, because she eventually did. She's now remarried happily to a really great guy that treats her well. And when she, I guess, ended things with this guy, I ended up hanging out with him that entire weekend because I was trying to keep her safe and just going with him all over the place. And I stayed with him until she showed up Monday morning, because I think this all started like on a Friday. So that Monday morning, she shows up back at her loft and we're in the hallway because I did not want her to go home and encounter him on her own, because I was afraid what would happen to her, if that makes sense. And she was fine and everything. And, he's moved on, sort of. Still has, I would say, challenging relationships. I haven't really seen him that much in years. And I do talk to her still, but I looked at all of that and I thought, that is being controlled. That is being smothered. It was very scary, B. So anyway, that's why it made me think also of Candus in this situation. Because when we look at Dawn's behavior, I mean, who's doing all the talking? Now, granted, recently we've started seeing Candus make some other posts on her social media account, but Dawn has gone silent, radio silent over there, which is, I mean, it's also flippin' weird. I don't have any answers. And I'm not saying this person did that and this person didn't, because I don't know. We don't know what happened. But I do really feel like I said earlier, this is a larger problem than just this case. It's not an isolated incident, but we're definitely getting a bird's eye view of like what's going on here. And maybe that's why so many of us can't just let it go, because there's other cases that are going on. There's other kids who are missing. There's other adults who are missing. I made a couple of videos about other kids who are missing in Tennessee. It's not just summer. And it's now been, over 60 days. I want to say what today is, 65, 66. I can't remember. I get lost in all of the days. But anyway, and then I started thinking about what we do know about Candus. And if you are unaware, her first two kids were taken away from her and put into foster care, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not going to go into all of those sort of things. But, it's not just men who commit crimes. We know this. And so I started thinking about other, quote, mothers. And one came to mind, and this is another Lifetime movie, that I saw. Oh, and what was it called? Oh, I can't remember what it was called, but Farrah Fawcett starred in it. And she played Diane Downs. And what Diane did is for some bizarre reason, so often we find crimes that are committed because there's something going on with a relationship or the desire of a relationship, or maybe I'm just remembering certain ones that are, like that. Anyway, Diane had the hots for this married guy or something. And She rushed her kids to the hospital. I want to say 2 of the 3 are no longer living, and the 3rd one did live. Maybe 2 of them still lived. I can't remember. It's been a minute. But anyway, she was, quote, "attacked on the roadway." Well, she wasn't attacked on the roadway, it was her. She shot her own children and then was trying to pass it off as something else. And you may or may not know about Susan Smith. Susan Smith, and when you start, and she's in the what is that new series, Cellmate Secrets? I want to say it's on Lifetime or something, which I have not seen this episode. I just know that it was created. There was one on Susan Smith, and I don't remember the year, but it's been a minute. And she put her 2 babies, her 2 baby boys, and I don't know their ages, but they were young. I mean, like toddlers, and put them in a car, and the car went like into a river or into a lake. Basically, they were drowned. Then I thought about Andrea Yates. I did do a video about Andrea. Andrea and Rusty lived in the Clear Lake area. As a matter of fact, my husband, back in the day when he was a server, he had served Rusty a number of times, and my husband's ex-wife actually taught Rusty spin class. Anyway, one of the things about the Yates incident, case, whatever, I'm trying to avoid certain words, and in the video, because I'm not going to remember all the things about the religion, but Rusty was involved with, I would just say, questionable belief system. It was really pretty extreme. And it's like, if you're familiar with like Quiverful, it's kind of like that. The whole thing, idea of, having as many children as you possibly can have. And again, you'd have to watch my video. So it's like, within my playlist somewhere, or look up other stuff about Andrea Yates. But religion was intimately involved in that. But also there was mental illness. And Andrea is now, like, she's in a mental health hospital like for the rest of her life. I don't know if she will ever get out or not. And then we also have like Casey Anthony. And there was a lot of partying involved and all that. Yes, very patriarchal, absolutely. And that's kind of what I see with this whole thing with Dawn and Candus as well, with the SDA, what they have gotten involved in. And I just kind of wonder how all of these things interplay with each other. I don't know if that makes sense to you or not. And I'm not saying I have it figured out, because I don't. But I do look at the different dynamics, and I do question how they're influencing behavior, how they're influencing the individual, how they're influencing the relationship, and how they're influencing the community at large. Because nothing ever happens just within, just a relationship. There's always like other things that are involved in it. And if you think about it, the people that I just gave examples, Susan Smith, Diane Downs, Andrea Yates, Casey Anthony, if you're on the outside looking in, they look like just normal people, living their lives, doing their thing. Well, is that what people also saw with Dawn and Candus? And to some degree, and I mentioned this in one of my lives about the bystander effect and the Kitty Genevieve's case that happened in New York. Have people noticed things? And I do know CPS has been called. I don't know who all has called CPS about, what was going on with the kids and everything. Did people just not want to get involved? Or is it one of those things that whatever was going on within the Wells house, was this just considered normal within their circle of friends, within their families? And so nothing was really, there was no red flags. They didn't see it as a problem. And again, I'm not saying I know the answer. I don't. But I think all of it is incredibly unfortunate. And right now we have a 5-year-old who is missing, a 5-year-old who was placed within this family situation. And 3 brothers, that are there too. I don't know how they treated Summer. I don't know if they were modeling behavior that they saw from Dawn or they saw from Candus. I don't know if Summer was. I mean, we really don't know those things. We can guess, and we can debate, we can speculate, all of those things, but we don't actually know. But he recently had converted, so he was still in the manipulation. Yeah, okay. That's the whole thing. Because I believe I saw something where Dawn's dad was a Mormon, and then something that Dawn was in the Baptist church, and now SDA. And SDA, from my research on it, it is, I would say, very structured in its belief system. And I would say not very tolerant of anything outside of what the belief system is. So it just, there's so many things going on within this case that I really hope that if we can do anything, we can learn from it, so that maybe it can help us understand other cases and maybe even prevent things from happening in other instances. I don't know. Just like that's how I look at the Watts case, and that's why I've talked about the multi-level marketing, is because we can learn a lot about how people behave once they get involved in multi-level marketing by examining Shanann and by examining her social media posts. And that's why I'm able to extrapolate all the things that I have on that case, is from my own experience and all the research that I've done about multi-level marketing companies, and then continue to do. And, and that's something else too, is that when I've done research on some of the top people, because one of the things that if you follow anti-MLM stuff is some people will be like, I don't know, hun shaming people who are basically stay-at-home moms. And I always say, those aren't the scammers. Using scammer in a title and stuff, that generally gets more views because, it's more sensational, but they're not truly the people who are, excuse me, quote unquote, scamming. I did a video about Business for Home, which is owned by Ted, and I'm never get his last name, Newton, and I don't even know how to say it, but anyway, Business for Home. And I want to say right now, I did one also about a recent conference that they had. It was a virtual conference, but there's a banner on that website. And when you look at all the people there, it's like, yeah, those are the people I would consider real scammers. And when I've started digging into, because I've done this for like OneCoin. OneCoin is a cryptocurrency, a multi-level marketing company that's still around, even though one of the founders is like vanished. She vanished in 2017. I think the last video I just did was on Sebastian Greenwood, and he was the co-founder of it. Anyway, when you start digging into these people's past, you start seeing how they're controlling and manipulating people. And maybe where their manipulation and control started. And one of the things that I have noticed is at a very young age, typically in their 20s, is when these people have gotten involved in multi-level marketing. And that's when Shanann Watts got involved with Amway. She sold Artistry, which is the beauty brand of Amway. And then I go back to like Candus at 19, and there she was involved in, this carny world. And, what sort of manipulation was going on with her? I don't know. But I don't think that we can look at this in just isolation of what happened right now. I think we have to broaden our view and look at all of the pieces. And maybe we don't know how those pieces fit together, but what we can extrapolate is that they're interconnected. That one thing influences another. And I do hope, like, whatever we continue to learn from this, that we can use it as a quote unquote teachable moment kind of a thing, and help us understand other humans, other family dynamics. That's what I hope. And I do hope we find Summer, because that's the big thing, is we all want to find Summer. And I don't think this bodes well for that little girl. I don't expect that we're going to find her somewhere, playing Barbies or something. Because a lot of time has gone by, and that, in general, doesn't speak well. I mean, heck, her own father within the first 2 weeks was basically like, I'll see her in the resurrection, which was absolutely shocking to hear. It's like, who in the world says such a thing? Who comes up with that thought? But I do think the parents, Candus and Dawn, have both been through a lot, and they didn't come up with their behavior on their own. It was influenced in some way through what they experienced, their own experiences, and you know, it continues. And this is a cycle that needs to end, that needs to stop. And I think that I don't know what can be in place, but we need people to be able to recognize it more and maybe be okay with stepping in. And I know it's uncomfortable to step into any of this. It was uncomfortable for me to say to my friend the concerns I had about her in the relationship she was in, but I did it out of love. And sometimes when you do something like that, just like in multi-level marketing, when somebody will say, oh, isn't that a pyramid scheme? Isn't that a scam? And then all of a sudden you're kicked to the curb. That can happen in these controlling relationships too, that they just like ignore you. You think she was heavily medicated. Okay, are you talking about Candus B? Because I'm not clear on that. I mean, and that's something I do look at the substance abuse. Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you, B. The substance abuse and the alcohol abuse of Candus. And, she was very isolated. And recently there was a call released from the interview room, which was made, it was several weeks ago. It's not like it happened this week or last week or something. It was made a while ago. And you hear her in the background too. And it's like she's sticking up for Dawn, but you have to think how much she is connected to him. And I do not remember what it's called. And if you do, please put it in the chat. But it's like when the person who's involved with it, like it could be a kidnapper, because it happened with Patty Hearst, if you're familiar with that case, where all of a sudden you like fall in love with a person who has like kidnapped you, who is controlling you. It's like it's a sick, twisted type of relationship. And so I kind of wonder what that is going on. When I heard that, it's like, is that the true Candus, or is that the person that has been manipulated all of her life through what she has learned? And even Dawn, it's like, is this the true Dawn that we're seeing, or is he a case of all the manipulation and abuse that he has endured too? Because I really feel like we have two horribly damaged people. And there's more of them out there. There's a lot more of them. This is just one incident that we're seeing up close and in person. And it's really hard to look away, because I don't know about you. Thank you, the Stockholm Syndrome. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Zozo. Thank you, B. Yes. I couldn't remember what it's called, It's because I've slept since then. But there's so many more instances that are going on. And I don't know what we can do for these people. But I don't know. It's like we need a wake-up call. Maybe this case is a wake-up call in all of that. Because it's unfortunate that there are children at the center of all of this who are suffering. And it's unfortunate that we have the adults involved in this, that they themselves have suffered as well. Everybody involved has suffered to some degree. Now, where do you put blame? Can you put it, like, oh, well, they're adults, they should know better. But you don't know better if you weren't taught. How can you know what you don't know? Can we just say, like, well, they should just know? It's like, that's good enough. They should just know. Well, I mean, maybe some people are able to recognize things and kind of like, pull themselves out or whatever, but that doesn't happen with everyone. So, what do we do in the instances where there are adults who are doing things that are harmful to themselves, harmful to their children, that they shouldn't be doing? How do we help them? How do we prevent the next Summer Wells case? Can we prevent it? Is it even possible? And I'm just putting this out there. Things for us to think about. That's all that I'm doing, is things for us to think about, to chew upon, to ponder. Okay. I think I'm going to get down on the go-go. I've said what I've kind of wanted to say, but I want you guys just to think about all the different pieces of this puzzle. And I think for me, it's real easy to look at one or the other and be like, oh, yep, and you're totally at fault. I don't think it's quite that simple, because I think it just goes so deep, so deep, and it bothers me. Oh, let me see. I can't stand how the YouTubes are turning against the help that was offered. I'm not exactly sure if I know what that is, but oh, hi, Chalupa. Chalupa came back over to his mom. Oh, here comes Tamale Wally Doodle. Oh, goodness, my little fur babies. But maybe that's something that those of us who are on the platform making content talking about this, maybe we can talk more about the different pieces of the puzzle and how those things impact people. Even if we're not, I guess, authorities in it, but just bringing it up and bringing attention to the fact that none of this is just like there's a simple answer. There's just like one person is just absolutely responsible. And I do hope somebody is held accountable. And I do hope whoever is held accountable, that they also get help, and that we can use this as a way to teach other people, for there to be more awareness about these things that are happening in multiple families right now. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to get down on the go-go. I might go play some Animal Crossing before I have to get to work, because I've actually started playing that, and I want to go get some more bells. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. I hope you have a really great rest of your day, and please start thinking about the many pieces of this puzzle. And anyone on the YouTube that is, throwing shade this way or that way, do yourself a favor and just walk away, because I don't think it's mentally healthy for us. Walk away, give yourself some breathing space, go outside, have a cup of tea, do something, walk away, try your best. And it's very hard, because I know this case is pulling on me and I see so many different things, but it's not healthy for it to just kind of overtake your life. All righty. Thanks again. And remember, you're beautiful and I love you.